Welcome inside the RX Muscle Studios for another episode of Ask Dave, better known as hashtag Ask Dave, brought to you by Species Nutrition. I'm your host, Sadiq Faruqi. Glad you can join us on this Wednesday afternoon, the second day of March. Yes, it is already March. We are merely 3 days away from we are currently in the midst of the Arnold Classic, but we are 24 hours away from being in Columbus, Ohio, and we look forward to bringing you wall-to-wall coverage of the 2016 Arnold Classic. It's all going to begin Thursday evening. We're going to have full preview segments. We're going to have one-on-one interviews with the athletes from the Meet the Arnold Athletes event on Thursday night, and then, of course, Friday, Saturday, prejudging, finals, and everything in between and after the shows. We have you covered. Dave, we are 24 hours away from being in Columbus.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, once again, the Arnold Classic is one of my favorite shows of the year. Obviously, it's the first really big show of the year, so we're all fresh. We've all been rested up for a couple months. You know, I'm not bodybuildered out, but like sometimes the Olympia is fun, but you know, you're so like burnt out from all the shows you go to. The Arnold is like exciting. It's new. It's like there's all good stuff going on. It's not just a show. There's other events. Obviously, we got the Hall of Fame ceremony that we'll be live streaming. Bob Goldman's International Hall of Fame ceremony, which, by the way, there's an update. Dolph Lundgren pulled out. Ivan Drago from Rocky IV. I was so looking forward to this guy.
You will lose.
And, you know, if he dies, he dies. And I'm not going to get the same. But Johnny Bench will be there. 8-time Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman. I don't know if anyone's been following his videos. He had some major back surgery. He's in rehab. When I say rehab, he's living in the rehab facility, learning to walk again. So he's going to be there on Saturday. So I'm going to talk to him about all his rehab and what's going on and where he thinks he's going to be, you know, on the comeback trail for that matter. And we have Royce Gracie, who was the first UFC champion. So we got some great talent going to be in that Hall of Fame ceremony. I'll get to run into my good friend Triple H. He'll be running the WWE events that are going on the whole weekend. And obviously, we'll be visiting the SciTech Nutrition booth, which will be the biggest booth in the entire Arnold Expo, without a doubt, with the best athletes. Obviously, we'll be stopping by there to do a lot of great interviews. Obviously, they have some of the athletes in the show. Cedric McMillan was on live with a couple days ago with me. I believe it was Monday. And he told us everything that's going on. He just came off that win at the Kevin Levrone Classic. A lot of momentum, even though Cedric doesn't like to use the term momentum. But you know, he'll. I have a feeling he's going to be in a great mood this weekend because he's on a high, you know, and especially this is going to be a good chance for him to stand next to Kai Green on stage and Justin Compton and show the world, hey, I got what it takes.
So, of course, we want to thank SciTech Nutrition for sponsoring the Iron Road to the Arnold Classic, and then, of course, all the coverage that we're going to be bringing you from the Arnold Classic beginning Thursday afternoon. So you want to keep it locked to rxmuscle.com, our Facebook page, Twitter, and Instagram for all the updates, all the pictures, and all the interviews as we get them. As we go to the Muscle Central Forum on rxmuscle.com, which is also going to be where all the live analysis, all Dave's play-by-play is going to be. In addition to that, actually, we also want to point out our good friends at Digital Muscle. Dave, if you want to tell the audience more about it, Dave is going to be featured on their live broadcast. Of course, they have the exclusive webcasting rights to the 2016 Arnold Classic. Dave, you're going to be full front and center on Friday night.
Yeah, our good friend Dan Solomon, who we just had on live with a couple weeks ago, launched this new website, digitalmuscle.com, and they procured the Arnold live webcast rights, which I told Dan was going to be a tremendous amount of work, and he's racking his head and banging his head against the wall, but I know he's going to do a great job bringing all the coverage, and I'm sure it'll be a great broadcast. Jay Hammett of Bod TV is working with him on this broadcast, and they asked me if I would sit in on the I'm going to be working the men's prejudging on Saturday morning, and then I'll be doing the pregame show with them. I think it's at 6 p.m. on Friday night, and then I will be doing all the women's and 212 action also on Friday night. So the only event I won't be doing is the men's finals. I guess I have not achieved enough status to to elevate myself to that level. But no, the truth of the matter is, I told Dan, whatever you need me for, I'll fill in. I'll be happy to give my insights, my opinions, whether you like it or not. And I think that the fans will probably appreciate it, because I had a lot of people tell me when they heard that I'm going to be on the broadcast, they're like, "Oh, good, now I can keep the sound on when I watch the broadcast." And I was like, "Well, that's nice. At least people appreciate my opinion." But no, it's true. When I watch a broadcast, I want to hear the truth. I want to hear what the people really think about what's going on there. I don't want to hear window dressing. So I'm not going to be giving you window dressing. I'll be on that panel, and if someone says something that I don't agree with, I'm going to call them out on it. And that's who I am. And so I think it'll probably be a much more entertaining live stream. And hey, isn't that what it's all about? People want to watch so that they can be entertained.
Let's go to our questions. As always, we start in the Muscle Central forum on rxmuscle.com. If you're not a member, it is free to register. We go to OBX4Jeep. Hey, Dave, I hate this show so much. I'd rather be Hillary Clinton's running mate in the next election than have to listen to this show. Anyways, do you still recommend taking Juice Plus Garden and Orchard capsules? I was thinking of canceling my current subscription and just taking your V Mineralized instead. I know the amount of extract contained in Juice Plus will be more than what's in V Mineralized, but do you think that the amount in V Mineralized will satisfy the amount of fruits and vegetables our bodies need if we're not taking in enough from our regular diet?
I'm a big advocator of other products that I believe in. So, a lot of you know me. I don't just advocate species nutrition products. I love Quest protein bars. I don't make any, I tell everyone that, and because I love the product, I use a product called Juice Plus. I've been using it for 15 years. Okay, it's 2 capsules in the morning, 2 capsules at night. It's the equivalent of 8 or 10 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. And without the sugar, fiber, and water, obviously, and it's just in little desiccated capsules. Now, I've been advocating to all my clients to get it, and I give them a link to go buy it. I think it's a link through my personal site on there. You get a discount. But the advantage of this is that we, as bodybuilders, we don't eat a lot of fruits and vegetables because of the sugar content in there, and it just bulks up our meals too much, and we can't eat enough protein and the good stuff to build muscle. So I recommend taking a supplemental form of it. Now, I formulated a product after I started using Juice Plus called V-Mineralize, which is all the vitamins and minerals your body could possibly need. Now, the Juice Plus product doesn't have vitamins and minerals. It just has fruit and vegetable extracts. They also have a product known as the Vineyard product, which is their dark berries. I always thought that product was so good that when I made the V-Mineralize, I put the dark berries into the V-Mineralize. So if you're using the Juice Plus and you get it through me or wherever you get it, continue to use the vegetable and fruit extract product, the original one. The Vineyard one you don't need to use because if you're using V-Mineralize, it's already in there. We already put the blueberry and dark berries extracts in that product. So if you can afford to do it, do both. If not, I would definitely go with the V-Mineralize because obviously minerals and vitamins are very important to all the chemical reactions in the body.
Let's go to AIK. Hey, Dave, I got the memo, but still prefer to salute the RX Muscle crew for all the great shows and interviews. I'm currently on a contest prep for classic bodybuilding in Sweden using Test P 2000 mg a week and Masteron 500 a week due to a tendency in injections lump, possible bruises which the judges will slam down hard on. I will cut out all injectables 3 weeks out of the show and go over to orals. I will use NAC. I don't want to go crazy with Halo or such. My current plan is to go 50 mg Anavar plus 50 mg Winstrol. Any thoughts on possible orals? I have Letrozole. I could even go D-Bol will be an option stacked with Winstrol.
I personally wouldn't stop all the injectables at 3 weeks out. I don't think that you have to worry about bruising for 3 weeks before. I think if you stopped it at a week out, that would be prudent and you wouldn't crash. Because a lot of the injectables, at 3 weeks being off of them, you're going to start to come down off them and you're going to deflate a little bit. And you can take all the orals you want, and it's probably not going to compensate for that. So I would probably stay on the injectables till a week out. I have my guys go right to the day of the show, but I mean that's up to you. I think a week is adequate to ensure that you're not going to have lumps or bruises or anything like that. And this way you don't have to really modify too much of what you're taking, because once you start changing things the last 3 weeks, adding a lot of orals, taking away injectables, sometimes things go wrong and you don't look as good as you did. So once again, don't do kooky stuff the last couple of weeks before a show.
Let's go to William X. Hi, Dave, I hate this show so much. I'd rather sit on a date with Bob Chick and listen to his awesome bodybuilding opinions all day and then go meet up with Farah for some awesome lifestyle stories about how he got shot. We've heard this a zillion times. My question is, if you take testosterone base in oil form, not normal water-based suspension, is the half-life still 12 hours? Can't seem to find anything about it. And if you're on 50 mg and get tested in a drug test, like maybe 16 hours later, will this show like free testosterone on the test? Or can you see that it's actually a steroid you've been using?
What is he doing with the testosterone? He's mixing it in water, he said?
Yeah.
Well, testosterone powder in water is testosterone.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, if you take it in oil form, rather.
Well, testosterone powder, whether you put it in an oil or in a water, it's still testosterone suspension. It's the same thing. It has the same half-life. What they do when they put testosterone propionate or testosterone enanthate or testosterone cypionate, they're binding it to an ester linkage. Okay, they're not just throwing it in with some oil. Okay, so whether you do water-based testosterone powder or oil-based testosterone powder, it's all fast-acting. And you know what? If you take a shot and 18 hours later you get a blood test, you're going to have a higher level in it. It doesn't disappear that quickly. So I certainly wouldn't be using that as my my method of beating the drug test if that's what you're doing.
He does refer to a previous guest that we had on the show, Mr. Jan Kukuli. Hi, Dave. Hate this show so much. I'd rather... Now, I want to see if this is appropriate. Something about his girlfriend. She does not look as good as Sarah back from behind. Not many women do. What is your opinion on training same body part twice a day? 2, how about using metformin on high-carb meals?
Training the same body part twice a day?
Yeah.
I think that's foolish. You're going to break it down, then you're going to go back to the gym, you're going to break it down again? That's moronic. And then the other thing was, what was the other question?
About using metformin on high-carb meals.
The reason I don't like metformin, I know a lot of people use it because they think, well, I'm going to sensitize my insulin receptors. I'm going to make myself more insulin receptive. The problem with that is that metformin suppresses IGF-1 release. And as bodybuilders, we need IGF-1 to repair and build muscle. So I certainly wouldn't want to take a drug that suppresses IGF-1. I mean, that would be kind of foolish.
Let's go to Kel. Hi, Dave. I've had a recent blood work done. It shows my IGFI level 277, which consider high. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Besides, I don't take any IGF, GH, or any other anabolics other than 1 cc of test a week. What could cause the IGF to go that high?
IGF-1, is a level or a measure of, of how much, growth stimulus you have in your body. Now, if you were to take growth hormone, a lot of guys will go check their IGF-1 levels because growth hormone tells the liver produce IGF-1. You have obviously high levels naturally, which is great. That means you're going to build muscle much more easily. I have them too naturally. Every time I go for blood work, my IGF-1 levels are always high, and I'm on nothing. So, but I do believe that the higher your testosterone is in your body, the higher your IGF levels naturally will be. So you're taking a shot of testosterone a week, that might be boosting the IGF-1, believe it or not, in your body.
Let's go to BB50+. Again, we're on the Muscle Central Forum. If you're watching us live on YouTube, first off, if this is your first RX Muscle show you're watching, hit the subscribe button below. You're not going to miss any of our shows, segments, and, of course, all that we're going to be bringing you from the Arnold Classic. It'll be delivered to your mobile device. It'll be delivered to your email. Anything that we do, you're going to get the first notification on. And, of course, on this show, we do give priority to the Muscle Central Forum at rxmuscle.com. Let's go to BB50+.
I just got a text saying we're live on the air.
How about that?
And Jim Mannion didn't even text me. It was actually you two.
Did you text it back?
Not on the show.
No? Okay. BB50+, Dave, can you and Sid make a plan for this show to get better? It's just awful. We actually do not have any such plans at the moment.
We're trying to make it worse. We just can't figure out how the freak to do it. I thought we were at the bottom already.
A quick question. When you're at the Arnold, do you go to other events like powerlifting and Olympic lifting, and will you cover any of them with videos and or interviews?
Here's the problem. In the years past, I covered everything. I had teams of people running all over the place with content, and it was great, and it was awesome, and but it was very costly. Okay, it cost a lot of money to have multiple people there with hotels and food and flights and personalities, and it got to be too much. It got to be too much. So what I do is we cover the Hall of Fame ceremony because Dr. Bob is my good friend, and I want to live stream that. I think the celebrity angle is great. We cover the pro show only because now the amateur show is held at the same time, and it's a monstrosity of a show in and of itself. And we focus on expo interviews because I believe that's really what the content that the people out there, the fans, want to see. Now, luckily, the Pro Strongman, which is one of my favorite events, okay, the strongman competition, is the last event is always held Saturday night at the Pro Bodybuilding Finals. So I get to see the last event, and I always get to interview the winner, which is usually Brian Shaw, or at least it has been the last couple of years, either him or Exogenous Zavickas. Over the years, it was Derek Poundstone. So I always get to interview them, and we always get footage of that last event. So that's super exciting. So you'll get to see the strongman, all the pro bodybuilding, fitness, whatever events, the expo interviews, and the Hall of Fame. I think that's a huge package that we're going to be delivering to you guys, plus all the pregame shows and all that stuff.
Let's go to Big Zero. Dear Dave, I hate this show so much that I want to slap it, push it down the stairs, humiliate it in public, and then cry. Whoa. And then cry and beg it to stay when it leaves me. I love you, Ask Dave. Please don't leave me. I'll change. His avatar is of Kai Green crying, so good job. What are your thoughts on the new trend of exogenous ketone supplements to boost fat burning while on a low-carb keto diet?
Ketones don't boost fat burning. All that ketones can do is provide a fuel source for the brain. Now, if you're not on a carb-restricted diet and you're taking these ketones products that contain ketones, you're not going to get anything out of it. You're not going to burn fat. You're not going to put yourself into ketosis other than the fact that you'll have ketones in your urine because you're taking this in. But that's not going to change your brain from burning carbs to fats. Okay? The only thing that can do that is carb restriction. So these products, while they sound good on paper, they don't really do very much of anything. Now, some people do report when they take these ketone products that even on a non-carb restricted diet, they do feel more mentally alert. That's possible, but it's not going to help you burn fat. The people taking these products are trying to lose weight, and they're trying to play off that ketogenic tagline, and it just doesn't do anything. Once again, you could only truly be in ketosis, that is your brain burning fat or ketones as a fuel source, when you're in a carb-restricted state.
Once again, you're watching Ask Dave on RxMuscle.com. If you're watching us on YouTube, or if you posted questions on our Instagram, Facebook, or if you tweeted using hashtag Ask Dave, we do give priority to those on the Muscle Central forum. Those are our members on the RxMuscle.com forum. Once again, all the contest photos that you're going to be seeing this weekend, you need to be a member in order to access our full gallery. So if you're not already a member, head on over to rxmuscle.com right now and register. It is for free, and we will give you priority on questions on this show. Let's go to PTB. Dave, as new parents, what are you and Amanda's views on nutrition for infants and children under 12 years old? And have any of your views changed since becoming parents? Specifically, one, let's go one by one. Breastfeeding versus formula, and if breastfeeding, up to what age should you do it?
Well, I think breastfeeding is the best way to go. Unfortunately, Amanda doesn't have enough breast milk to satisfy the baby. He's a voracious eater, so we're kind of supplementing with the formula. And that's why, I've gone through a lot of different formulas. I've found some natural organic ones. I'm really interested in producing my own, believe it, baby formula, because I think a lot of them out there are just horrible. They're just, it's like the worst protein shake you can buy, pretty much. So once again, babies have certain needs. The essential fatty acids is a big new thing in most formulas. They fortify with DHA, which is a metabolite of omega-3 fats, and we know that's important for brain and nervous system development. Now, the interesting thing about babies is they don't really require as much protein as you think. Maybe per serving, they're only getting 2 grams of protein. The fats are actually higher and the carbs are a little higher as well, so they have a fuel source to operate on. Now, a lot of these formulas use lactose as a fuel source, and that's why these babies get gassy and because they can't digest all the lactose you're putting in them. So, like the one I'm using now, the formula I'm using now, I think it's called Baby Only or something like that, or I got to get the name of it. I don't remember offhand. And the advantage of that is the carb source they're using is brown rice sugar, I believe it is, which is a much more healthy organic source.
So
Did you want to ask
yeah, no, I was going to say because he mentioned three things,
okay.
right? As he mentioned, well, the first was breastfeeding versus formula. The second was macronutrition requirements, protein, fats, carbs, and how strict will you be with processed foods. And then the third, vitamin, mineral supplements, and fish oil. Could we see a species chewable for kids or gummies?
Well, yeah. Once kids start eating solid food, I think then we get into the child years of what they require, and I'm not there yet. We're still in the infant stage with formula, so I'm going to develop my formula. Then, as my son gets older and starts eating food, then I'm going to have to work on some chewables. I think I like the gummy idea, but I got to make sure we don't use sugar in there because I don't really like using pure, junky corn syrup, which is most of these vitamins use, and most of these vitamins don't have any vitamins in them. They're like almost devoid of vitamins. I truly believe gummy bears may be more nutritious than the actual gummy vitamins that they sell out there. So yeah, there's a lot to be desired in the nutrition field, especially for kids. And the problem is that parents are so scared to give their kids anything without their doctor saying okay. And the doctor never says okay for anything natural that's not by prescription because they don't want to lose their license. So it's a very sketchy field, and you got to be careful. And the education curve is huge. Is really huge, and the new movement is everything organic, and so you really have to do a lot of investigative work because the term organic can be misinterpreted many different ways by many different companies. So just like some people say they're using whey isolate, but they're protein spiking or they're adding amino acids, they do the same thing with baby formula. So you got to really be careful.
Let's go to SHW10. Hey Dave, I'd rather have my house infested with bed bugs. Come up with an ideal solution for it. See George Farah stealing my idea and becoming a billionaire from it than rather watching this show. Question, what is your take on taking glutamine post-workout? Is it a must or a waste of money?
I don't want to say it's a waste of money, but I see too many people buying glutamine before they're buying an essential fatty acid supplement, before they're buying a vitamin mineral supplement, before they're buying a fiber supplement, before they're buying a good whey isolate. So is it a waste of money? Probably for most people, yes, because most people are not using the other stuff. They're throwing glutamine and creatine and pre-workouts into their regimen without even having the basics covered. Truthfully, I don't believe the glutamine builds muscle or repairs muscle. I think it's good for the immune system. I think it's really good for the colon and the intestinal tract, believe it or not. It helps regenerate that. So if you have like colitis or stuff like that, it'll be good for that. But it's not really going to help muscle building. I'll tell you why. Because the muscle cells themselves produce copious, huge amounts of glutamine on their own as long as there's enough protein present, amino acids present, for them to make it. So your body can make its own glutamine, whereas the branched chains and certain other amino acids your body can't make on their own. So those are more important. That's why animal whole sources of protein are really important in the diet, because our body can't make those amino acids. Glutamine is one of those amino acids our body can make from anything. So to me, it's a waste of a supplement because, like I said, most people use glutamine before they'll use something that they really need.
We're going to take one more from the Muscle Central Forum, but I just wanted to give props to Nerd Old Nerdith. I'm going to show this to Dave after the show because it is long, but from what I can read so far, it is hilarious. So good for you. I'm going to show it to Dave, and we'll reach out to you after the show. We'll take one more. This one from Timmy Trenner. Dave, I hate this show so much I would rather go vote for George Farah and his running mate Gary Busey in 2020 than after 1 year in office, George issues an executive order that sends Chris Aceto and all other gurus to Guantanamo Bay, allowing him to prep every single bodybuilder on the planet. Eventually, people get sick of George's clients constantly walking on stage looking like Violet from Willy Wonka. So in 2024, newly elected president of Earth, William Gary Busey, permanently outlaws bodybuilding, and George is sent to Guantanamo Bay for life, while Chris Aceto and all the other gurus live happily ever after. For your third post ever on the Muscle Central Forum, that is a win. Good for you, Timmy. Reach out to us. You will get Nitrolized pre-workout by Species Nutrition. Here is his question. In one of the videos, Rich Piana recommends building as much muscle as possible before entering into one's first competition. Lee Labrada stated on his episode of Live With, which is available on our YouTube channel, that his son Hunter is also following this strategy. Do you agree with this? And what are some things that a first-time competitor should know or do before their first show?
Well, yeah, I think it's a personal decision. Evan Centopani never competed either till he was like ready to win shows. But for most of us, we don't have the genetics to do that. I think a lot of us enjoy competing for the sake of competing, getting ready for a show, getting lean, the whole tanning and preparation and posing. And that's an enjoyable process. So to have to wait 5 years until you're ready to get on stage where you think you might be competitive enough to win a show is foolish. Now, if that's something that interests you and that's what you want to do, that's fine. It's a personal decision. But for most people, the process of going through it every year is a fun one. And that's what, everyone looks at the end game as like the ultimate thing. I want to win the Olympia. But really, it's the journey to get to the Olympia that's where you enjoy yourself the most. I guarantee you, if you ask Phil Heath what the most enjoyable part of his bodybuilding career has been so far, it's not winning the Olympia. I think he probably feels a lot of pressure every year at the Olympia to have to win again and again and again. I bet it was the journey getting to the Olympia, winning that first show, winning the Junior Nationals, winning the USA. That was fun for him because he was on his way, he had no pressure on him, no one expected anything, and I think people lose sight of that. So don't worry so much about being your best on stage and winning the USA your first time out. Go compete because you're having fun. When it becomes more than that, it'll become more than that. But initially, it should be fun. If it's not, you'll never be a good bodybuilder.
You're watching Ask Dave, rxmuscle.com, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Visit speciesnutrition.com. Dave, are you ready for some YouTube questions?
Sure.
So first off, yes, we are live, and I'm about to show you that we're going to take the last few questions, and this is indeed a live show. 2, no, this is not the first time I've ever shaved in my life. And 3, it'll probably take me about 4 days to get back to what you saw last week. Anyway, Into Deep 77. Dave, hate the show. I'm doing a type of interval cardio in the morning on an empty stomach. I get my heart rate to 135 for 2 minutes, then to a slow walk for 2 minutes. Do you think I will lose muscle doing this?
On an empty stomach, you might. You might. It depends on what your metabolism is. I know fat guys that have slow metabolisms. They can put muscle on easy. They don't lose fat easily. Those people can do that kind of cardio, and they probably wouldn't lose muscle. Guys with fast metabolisms like me, if I get on that treadmill and do high-intensity cardio without eating anything, I guarantee I'll lose muscle. So it's a personal type thing. I don't like to do high-intensity anything, whether it be weight training or cardio, without eating something first. If you're going to do low intensity, where you know you're going to burn exclusively fat as a fuel source, then you don't have to eat. So, I wouldn't roll the dice if I were you. I mean, if you're a bodybuilder and you want to maintain as much lean muscle as possible and grow bigger, don't do foolish things that are going to possibly cause you to lose muscle.
DTSGAK, I guess his question was just answered by your last answer, but he does send his regards from Hungary. He wants to see you do an interview with Daniel Toth, who rejoined Team SciTech just a few days ago. Let's go to our good friend Mika, or you're going to have to tell me one of these days. Is it Mika or Micah? Spell it out in the chat for me. You ask great questions, and I want to make sure I'm pronouncing your name correctly. What are the main sources of energy during recovery from workouts? He goes, does the muscles use muscle glycogen or fats for recovery, or is it both? And what do you think about reducing carbs on rest days?
Post-exercise, we want to get the protein, obviously, into the muscles as quickly as possible to start the protein machinery working and repairing. We also want to reglycogenate the muscle. That means put carbs back into the muscle cells and replace the exhausted glycogen stores. Fat is irrelevant right after the workout because fat will delay the absorption of these nutrients into the muscle cells. So the only time you don't eat fat is post-workout. You want a fast-acting carb that's going to empty from the stomach quickly and it's going to pull nutrients with it. That's any high molecular weight carbohydrate, whether it be mycarbolize or Vitargo or whatever else is out there is fine to use. You also want to combine that with some kind of a whey isolate. I would stick with a 100% whey isolate so that it's absorbed as quickly as possible without any lactose inhibiting the process. That's the goal. The goal is replace glycogen, which has nothing to do with muscle building. It's just restoring your energy for your muscle, and then deliver a high dosage, at least 30 grams of amino acids, protein, to the muscle cell, to the working cell, so the recovery process can start.
Let's go to Mike Paluch. Dave is MK, who first wants to know what your opinion is on MK677, and is it good for increasing HGH levels?
There's not many peptides that I really think do anything, and I haven't seen any people who showed me any tremendous gains from taking the stuff. I would save my money. Like I said, the only peptides that I really recommend is the long R3 IGF, if you can get a real source of it. The GHRP6 is great because even though it's a growth hormone releasing peptide, it really increases your appetite. Most guys use that off season, and the melanotan is really good if you want to get a fake tan or get a real tan with outgoing in the sun.
Joseph Miocic, hey Dave, how much protein is enough for a bodybuilder, and what is the best macro ratio for lean bulk?
Look, everyone's protein requirements are different. I usually give the formula 1.5 grams of protein per pound. So for a 200-pound man, you want to take in 300 grams of protein per day, spread over 5 or 6 feedings. That's the easiest, I guess you could say, mathematical formula. But some people need more and some people need less. Now, the second part of the question was what's it?
Let me go back to it now. Best macro ratio for lean bulk.
I like to do 1.5 grams of protein per pound, 1/2 to 3/4 gram of fat per pound, and 1 to 2 grams of protein per pound. And once again, I know it's variable, but it depends on the person's metabolism. Carbs are very variable because it's only a fuel source. If the person can get away with less, then they'll stay leaner. If they can do more and still stay lean, then give them more. That's gasoline in your car. Some cars burn a lot of gas. Some cars don't burn a lot of gas. You put in the amount of gas that you require for the person who you're working with. So if you have a car like a person's body, like a Ferrari, like a Juan Morel, you got to give him a lot of gas. You got to give him a lot of carbs. On a guy who's like a Mini Cooper that doesn't burn a lot of gas, you give him less carbs.
So props to whoever signed up as Gary Busey and entered in the chat forum. Who's talking about me? Good job. Let's go to Rezvan.
Maybe it's the real Gary Busey.
And Gary Busey, only 7 followers. It's not a good mark for his career. Rezvan Sweetsan. When I take my protein from chicken breast, I tend to get very flat, but when I eat pork or beef, I look full again. Should I stick just pork and beef for the rest of my life?
Well, I mean, why not eat at least 1 meal a day from beef or pork, or 2 meals per day from beef or pork if you feel it. Usually people feel, fuller on red meats. It's because of the fact that the fat content is higher. So that means that you're obviously maybe fat deprived. So try eating chicken and fish, but adding more fat to your diet. And that might give you that fullness that you're looking for. That's usually the case. Also, you get more creatine in red meat than you do in chicken and fish. So that could also be a reason why you're full. But I would tend to believe it's the fats.
Let's go to Dylan Lyell paints a pretty vivid image here. I'd rather have sex with Boston Lloyd while Rich Piana touches himself snorting Clen than watch this show. The imagination on some of you.
And I think Boston has got a new website where people could do that, right, Johnny? Johnny's wave.
Okay. Hey, Dave, I work construction 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. Can I get away with eating slightly more carbs on a cut?
Try it. I always tell people that. I know people that work so many hours of physical labor during the day, and I diet them, and I figure, well, I got to give them more carbs, right? And I give them more carbs, and they don't lose weight. I take it away. They don't complain about lack of energy, nothing, and they do well. So, see what your metabolism is. Some people's body, when you're doing physical labor, if it's consistent all day long physical labor, it's probably more walking around. It's not like you're doing high intensity type exercise. If that's the case, you're probably burning mostly fat. And in that case, you don't need a lot more carbs. You might need a little bit more fat in your diet. So once again, you got to really assess what your work level is and how high of an intensity level on a consistent basis are you doing throughout the day.
We're going to take a couple of more from the YouTube channel, then jump over to Instagram. Tim Perry, Dave, with the amount of protein in pig's liver and the very low cost, why do not more people on a tight budget eat it a few more times a week? And then he goes on to say, P.S. I had cancer 6 years ago, left me as a type 1 diabetic. Thank you for the diet help you've posted along, talking about insulin. Best advice I've ever received. Thank you so much.
Guys used to eat desiccated liver tablets back in the 70s and 80s. I mean, because there was no protein powders, really. It was just powdered skim milk. And powdered skim milk used to bother people's stomach. The problem with liver is, think about what the liver does in the body. it detoxifies the body, right? So all the toxins get stored in the liver, and they get broken down. Now you kill a sheep or a lamb or a cow, okay, and you eat his liver, okay, all the junk is in there. So you don't want to be eating someone else's garbage pail, all right? It's like the cat that goes out into the dumpster and starts dumpster diving. That's probably not the best way to build muscle. So with all the advent of all the great new protein products, the whey isolates on the market, and the ease of availability to get fish and chicken and all kinds of stuff. I mean, and if you're on a budget, go to the supermarket and buy packets of salmon. They sell, Bumblebee and Chicken of the Sea sells wild salmon in packets. I eat it almost every night because I'm too lazy to cook. So, and I can afford to get real salmon if I wanted to, or do whatever I want. But it's a convenience. So there's no reason to be eating liver. No, I don't believe.
It's either Jean or Jean Bon. Hey, Dave, is T3 dangerous for the thyroid?
T3 is no more dangerous for the thyroid than testosterone is for the testicles, okay, or GH is for the pituitary gland. If you take an exogenous source of a hormone, it will just shut down the production of that hormone in the gland in your body. And then when you take that hormone away and you stop taking it, your body starts producing again. So, people take Cytomel all the time to lose weight for shows, and they go off it, and their body starts producing their own Cytomel again. I mean, their own thyroid hormone again. Some people, a very small percentage of people will take Cytomel, and then all of a sudden their thyroids don't turn back on, and they have to go on replacement for the rest of their life. My theory on that is that it's not the Cytomel causing that. I believe they were already low in thyroid hormone. They didn't know it because they were used to it. And then they went on a normal dose of Cytomel, and they felt great probably while they were doing it. And then when they took it away, they realized the difference, and they realized they were low. So they were low the whole time, and now they were just identifying it after taking a thyroid cycle, I guess you could say.
Let's go to Fit Geek Paul. It's a question we received a couple of episodes ago. So, Dave, this is your stage. Your thoughts on the IIFYM if it fits your macros method.
Look, I've addressed this before. If your macronutrient breakdown for the day is, let's say, 300 grams of protein, 150 grams of fat, and 150 grams of carbs, the types of carbs, fat, and protein you eat absolutely will dictate how you look and how you perform. If I eat bacon for my I guess you could say protein source, or I eat pea protein for my protein source all day, or if I eat lean salmon, or if I eat lean red beef, I'm going to get different responses from all those different foods. Likewise, for my carbs, if I just consume dextrose, sugar, as opposed to taking in a brown rice or a pasta for my carb, I'm going to get spikes of insulin with the sugar. Trust me, if it fits your macros approach is crap, Now, most of these guys that follow that approach don't do sugar and bacon and stuff like that. They eat pretty healthy all the time, and maybe once in a while they'll throw in a donut or something like that, and they'll say, well, I have 150 grams of carbs today, I'm going to have a donut. In that case, if you're only doing it once in a blue moon, it's like a random cheat meal here and there. It's not going to do that, but it's not going to really do anything bad. But it's sending the wrong message. It's telling people out there that aren't disciplined, that don't know about diet, that, hey, you can eat whatever you want. Just figure out how many protein, fat, and carbs you need per day, and just make sure it fits into that profile. That's a bad message, and it's a wrong message.
We're going to take a couple of questions from our Instagram crowd. What we're going to do on the next episode, since we really tilted favor to the YouTube crowd, next episode, we're going to go RX Muscle, Muscle Central Forum, Instagram, then YouTube. So we'll balance things out. Let's go to Amy Ham. Dave, I'm still a beginner in my competitive career. I'm a figure class and will be crossing over into physique next year. I have 2 kids, ages 7 and 10. Do you think judges hold it against you for having loose skin and stretch marks on your abdomen? She says, I have a small amount of both.
You want the truth? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I know someone who had a scar from birth right down the middle of their abdomen. It's absolutely going to cost you. It's going to hurt you. It's a physique competition. It's a beauty pageant. Unfortunately, it counts against. That's why they have different divisions like masters and this and that, because they want to make a division where people feel comfortable competing with people who look like them, who are the same age as them. Let's face it. As we get older, we have injuries, we have skin issues, we have a million different things can go wrong. And that's why young people do have an advantage. That's why you don't see a million guys like Dexter Jackson winning shows, because most guys, when they get to their 40s, are damaged in some way. I can talk to that very easily. I got shoulder problems. I tore my quad. I have had 4 surgeries on it already. I got to do another one. Your body doesn't respond as well, And so, yes, if you had kids and you have stretch marks and loose skin, it will definitely hurt you. That's why a lot of people get plastic surgery and they get tummy tucks and stuff like that. It's a very visual sport. It has nothing to do with how much you can lift. It only is about how you look.
Last question, and a question for you, Dave, a good question at that, from Brooks Clark. If the classic physique division was around when you were a competitive bodybuilder, would you have chosen classic or bodybuilding?
No, it was all bodybuilding for me. I wanted to be huge. And to be honest with you, I didn't have the structure for classic bodybuilding. I needed a lot of muscle in my body. I compensated for structural defects by adding copious amounts of muscle on my body and coming in ridiculously hard. So I used my genetic gifts, which was my ability to train hard, put muscle on, and then and get really, really ultra lean to overcome some of my structural deficits. Now, obviously, I didn't have a terrible structure. I would never have been a good bodybuilder, but I didn't have the structure of a Sean Roden, Flex Wheeler, guys like that. Even, but look at Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler, if he was a small guy like classic bodybuilder, he would have done terrible because he has very wide waist. He just has super wide shoulders. So he compensated for that lack of structural, perfectness by putting on extra amounts of muscle. At 270 pounds, a Jay Cutler on stage, ripped to the bone, is very impressive. At 198 pounds, Jay Cutler's not that impressive.
You know what? I lied. We are going to take one more, only because JD Souza, I feel like every episode I get this. This show sucks because Sid never takes my question. I do not have anything personal against you, JD Souza. To prove that, I'm going to take your question. Can growth hormone increase height if your growth plates haven't already closed?
If they haven't closed, yes, you can certainly grow. And that's why they give growth hormone to kids who need to grow, more before they hit 17 or 18, which is when most of the bone plates close. Now, in girls, bone plates close sooner, okay? Because estrogen, believe it or not, is what closes our bone plates, and a lot of people don't know that. The first line of therapy that they'll give a boy that's under height, they don't go give him growth hormone right off the bat. You know what they give him? They give him Arimidex. Why do they give him Arimidex? Because Arimidex blocks the conversion of testosterone to estrogen in the body. And estrogen is what shuts the bone plates. That's why guys that take steroids at a very young age can stunt their growth, because they produce so much, they're taking so much testosterone that they're converting tremendous amounts of estrogen, which shuts the bone plates. So estrogen management is very important if you want to grow to your ultimate, genetic height, so to speak. And, I tell a lot of guys, because look, there's some kids that are going to take steroids in their teens. I don't condone it. I don't think they should be doing it. There's no reason for it. But if they do it, the steroids that they should stick with are things that don't aromatize, don't convert to estrogen, like Winstrol or Anavar. That's kind of safe in a way if you don't overdo it. But you start taking testosterone and you're definitely going to stunt your growth.
That is going to do for this episode of Ask Dave, brought to you by Species Nutrition. For the next 72 hours, we are going to be your wall-to-wall shop for all things Arnold Classic 2016. We're going to have interviews, we're going to have live coverage, and we're going to have all sorts of preview content, review content, and then, of course, full wrap-ups of every division. Keep it locked to rsmuscle.com. Sign up for the Muscle Central Forum. You'll have full access to all the analysis and our full contest gallery. For Dave Palumbo and Johnny Styles, I'm Sadiq Faruqi. We'll see you from Columbus, Ohio.